welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, in the very often desperate hunt for points. And it's the return of the European Grand Prix. Yes, we're back at a European Grand Prix for the first time since 2012, I think, I want to say, after the brief three-year run of the Valencia Street Circuit in this series. We're not at Valencia, a circuit which I think I mentioned at the time I'd walked during bits of. Don't know why that's an interesting factoid, but it's not Valencia. It is a street circuit though, a city circuit. It is Baku in Azerbaijan, the first running of the Baku city circuit, the only one called the European Grand Prix. It would go on to be the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in the, I think is it still Azerbaijan now? I think it is, or it's just the Baku City Grand Prix, whatever they want to call it these days. But it is the first running of Baku in Formula One. And we arrive here with a little bit of a worry, I think, more than anything else. Last time out at Canada, which itself is a street circuit, or a pseudo-street circuit, I guess, we were running solidly in the points, much like we were a couple of rounds back in Russia, which is also a pseudo-street circuit. And we were dumped out of the Grand Prix, heading down towards the hairpin, and by our teammate, no less. Pascal Wehrlein, obviously not particularly thrilled with being, as you can see there, not really the first driver in the team, and also being beaten in the rivalry by me. So, little nudge, little tap, wall bound, wheel off, race over. And this, obviously, a much tighter, much more technical, much more tricky city street circuit. So the worry, I think, here is that we don't make it to the end. And we really need to, because in every round this season, possibly with the exception of Australia, although that could have easily gone our way in the end, we've been running in and around the points, sometimes quite high, sometimes scrapping like we were in Canada for 8th, 9th, 10th. It means that in the standings, we have 26 points and we're 11th with 81 points off Lewis Hamilton at the top, but I think we could be so much closer, thanks to, like I say, the fact that every round this season, we have actually been in and around the points picture. And I'd like to think that that's not going to change, but we know how Codemasters games work, and we are driving the manor, so it could all go wrong for us as the season continues. As I said there, Lewis Hamilton leads the way. He's 11 clear of Max Verstappen, who's having a standout season for Red Bull. Nico Rosberg and Kimi Räikkönen tied on points, 28 behind Hamilton at the top. And then there's a bit of a gap back to Vettel and Button. Then it's Ricciardo, Bottas, Massa, Perez and ourselves. All of us not actually covered by a massive amount of points, I'd say, from Vettel down to, well, probably even Fernando Alonso in 12th. And then it's Hulkenberg, Sainz, Daniel Kvyat, Kevin Magnussen. Pascal did pick up a point in Canada in the end, so moves his tally to 3. That means he is clear of the no-point scorers: Jolyon Palmer, Felipe Nasr, Esteban Gutierrez, Romain Grosjean and Marcus Ericsson. In the Constructors, Mercedes lead the way by 43 ahead of Red Bull, who are themselves just 8 clear of Ferrari. Then it's a gap back to Williams, who are fighting quite hard with McLaren. Force India sat in 6th. Kind of a bubble of their own. We're only 15 points behind them, but they are also quite a distance off McLaren. We are 13 clear of Toro Rosso, a little ways ahead of them. Renault have just the 4 points on the board from K-Mag, but it does mean that they're ahead of Sauber and Haas. And as I said, first time running the Baku City Circuit under the guise of the European Grand Prix, obviously. And it was a one-off European Grand Prix. Don't know why it was the European Grand Prix, never really bothered looking into it. Might explore it before we go into the practice session. I can talk about it there, and if I don't, I forgot, or I chose not to, or couldn't really find the information. But this one-off running of the European Grand Prix will precede the real heartland of the season, your Silverstones, your Germanys, your Hungarys, Belgiums, Italys, that kind of thing. So this is going to be a bit of a step into the unknown in terms of the real progression of the series. We've not driven Baku before. Obviously, we've driven it plenty since. A staple of the calendar, and one I think that's quite well loved for a new city circuit. Has proved popular, has provided some pretty entertaining Grand Prix, and we've had some memorable moments that come in later seasons, but also memorable moments for individual drivers, not just for what's happened in races. Lance Stroll getting a podium for Williams, and Hamilton's brake magic, and Max's tyre blight in 21, the Lewis Seb coming together under the safety car as well. There's a lot that's happened at this place, and I do quite like Baku, not just to drive but to watch as well. It is one of the more modern street circuits. Actually, it has quite the positive reputation in the Formula One community, which I would personally agree with. I think it's a great place to have racing. How are the AI going to be here, though? In 2016, the first time that the Codemasters AI have been subjected to the city streets of Baku. We've seen before that they can be a little bit clumsy in 2016, and also that AI at new circuits in Codemasters games can also be a little bit clumsy. Obviously, everything was their first game in 2010, and there were plenty of clumsy moments, but then you look at later additions to the calendar, and they've been clumsy there too. So who knows? This could be a really positive experience for us. But it is high speed and high power, things this car might not necessarily have. So practice is probably going to see us 22nd, but I need to remember how these cars take on these streets. So I'm going to go to practice. While I do, we'll talk about the real world. 2016 European Grand Prix. Formula One arrived at the Baku City circuit for the first running of a European Grand Prix since Valencia dropped off the calendar back in 2012, with the Azerbaijani capital providing both challenge and historic architecture as the cars wound their way past the city's castle. The challenge was evident almost immediately during the first practice session, as first Kvyat then Nasser had near misses with barriers, before Daniel Ricciardo clattered the wall at turn 15 with just 20 minutes to go, wiping the front right wheel off the Red Bull and bringing in red flag. He'd be joined in the garage by Max Verstappen, the other Red Bull suffering engine issues. Hamilton would lead the way with Rosberg and Bottas in close pursuit. While there were no major crashes during the second practice, there were issues for Rosberg, Vettel and Raikkonen, as all three suffered engine problems, all necessitating spells in the garages. Rosberg would still set the second fastest time behind Hamilton and ahead of Perez. 15 caught out a couple of drivers once again in the final practice. Perez hitting the barrier with the right rear of his car. Massa also grazed the barriers in the same place, while teammate Bottas had his session halted by a loose drain cover. Hamilton would once again top the times ahead of Rosberg and Hülkenberg. Qualifying 1 would see a scruffy session for Jenson Button. The Brit made a mistake at turn 15 after catching multiple cars during his lap. He'd find himself knocked out by the end of Q1, slotting in behind both Manners at stellar qualifying. They'd be joined by Ericsson and both Renaults in the drop zone. McLaren would have a similar Q2 with Alonso. The Spaniard found himself catching traffic during his lap, and it stopped him from making Q3 once again. Hülkenberg would join him in the elimination zone, forcing the driver spinning in his lap. They would be knocked out with Grosjean, Sainz, Gutierrez and Nasser. Much like his compatriot, Hamilton was having a scruffy qualifying session, already having flat-spotted tyres, and it continued into the shootout. He first locked up and went straight on at turn 15, costing both him and Rosberg times as German had to back off the yellow flags. Hamilton would then clip the wall on his final run, ruining his suspension and ending his hopes of starting higher in 10th. Rosberg would take pole ahead of Perez, but the Mexican would have a 5th-place grid drop for a gearbox change and Daniel Ricciardo. The rest of the top 10 would be completed by Vettel, Raikkonen, Massa, Kvyat, Bottas, Verstappen and Hamilton. Chaos of qualifying and the chaos in the support races, the expectation was for more chaos, especially with such a short run into a 90-degree left turn 1. Surprisingly, Apart from a half look by Ricciardo, the Australian being discouraged by Rosberg, there were no incidents into turn 1, the field behaving as they got away. Rosberg would kind of check out at the front, while Ricciardo would find his grip dissipating early on, complaining of rear sliding by lap 3. He proved to be easy prey for Vettel, his former teammate, making it past and prompting the Honey Badger into a pit stop. He'd be followed by Raikkonen, Ferrari also looking to bring in Sebastian Vettel. Vettel elected to stay out, nursing his tyres to lap 20, but he'd eventually pit. He'd be undercut by Raikkonen, though the Finn had crossed the pit exit line with 4 wheels and had a 5-second penalty hanging over it. Hamilton had been making slow progress further back, driving cautiously early on before moving into 5th. He'd stop and regain 5th, not long after, but he'd then have to be contending with a loss of power, compounded by the fact the radio ban enforced on all the teams meant he couldn't be helped by the pit wall to find the right setting to fix it. It would take 15 laps to find a solution, by which time he was too far behind the next car ahead. Rosberg would suffer a similar issue, but he was so far in front that he cruised to victory, and in a shockingly uneventful race in Baku. Vettel would take second, while Sergio Perez would take a superb 3rd place for Force India. The rest of the points would be taken by Raikkonen, Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Hulkenberg and Massa. We arrive at the Baku City Circuit for the first time in this series, and it's a track I enjoy driving to this day, but will that work in our favour? We're arriving here off the back of the DNF in Canada, so our confidence is a little down coming into this one, and it's a power track for the most part, so we're probably going to be on the back foot. I think that even Q2 might be a bit of a pipe dream here, despite our good run in the last couple of rounds, so we'll aim for 17th place to at least top those knocked out in the first qualifying session.
Welcome to qualifying in the Republic of Azerbaijan. The teams are making their last-minute adjustments before the lights go green, and the fight for pole position can get underway. This is the kind of track that eats rear tyres for breakfast, or so I'm told by more experienced drivers than myself.
Well, tyre management is key here, specifically the rears. It's all too easy to overheat and wear the rear tyres as they're punished out of the low-speed corners. Most teams won't be able to avoid some kind of issue here, especially the teams that are running less downforce.
It won't be easy getting out of this qualifying session, but see what you can do.
Thank you very much. And Crofty and Jeff there, despite the fact we got into Q2 a couple of rounds ago and Q3 last time out in Canada. But he is right, it's probably going to be quite difficult. We've also gained a new rival between the practice and qualifying session, and that rival is Fernando Alonso. We've got to try and go out and beat him, beat our 2015 teammate fair and square. That's going to be pretty tricky, I think, in qualifying. This track feels very different.
For a while. We will update you if the outlook changes.
Jeff looks lovely out there. This track does feel different to how it does these days. I don't know whether this was based on the race having happened and then really quick coding afterwards, or whether it was just based on a render of what the track could look like. There's a few bits that are easier than they are in the modern layout, and then a few bits that are tighter and more difficult because there's no runoff. So got to be really careful here. Picking up damage could be a bit of a session killer. But let's see what we can do on the streets of Baku. Let's take a look then at our fastest lap in Q1 as we head into that 90-degree left-hander. Take a bit of the apex curve, but keep it away from the barrier on the outside, and once again another 90-degree left. Again, take a bit of the curve on the inside, grease the barrier slightly with a bit of any damage to the car, thankfully. It's another long straight, waiting for another 90-degree left-hander. This time, though, there's a little bit more room to play with, you feel here, so we keep well away from both barriers. Into a 90-degree right for a change, as we then, once again, clip the apex, keep it away from the barrier. Maybe could have run the outside apex a little bit more, but we didn't. Into this little chicane in the middle of the lap. Can't get the nose turned in there, compromises through the middle. But again, we keep out of the wall, and that's the important thing. Now we get into the old town part of the circuit. Again, really clipping the apex, avoiding the wall on the outside, then it's through this fiddly little chicane in the middle. A bit like the old Singapore sling. Keep the car pointed right in the middle, but on the way out, we compromise our line. Struggle to get the power down on exit. It's now a long left-hand sweeper, so at least we can just rest for a moment before getting heavy on the brakes into this weird downhill braking zone. There's a little hump as you ride the crest there, and it does unsettle the car. We keep it, once again, out of the barrier. Now it's a real full throttle section of the lap. We get a really nice run through there, traction very well, keep it just out of the wall as we try and make it the shortest route possible through these S's, and now we just gun it to the line. Once again, trying to keep it short, keeping very close to the wall, avoiding damage. DRS is open, and we gun it for the line, and we get across. We're through at the moment, if we stay there. Well, qualifying comes to an end for us in the wall in the end. Just got a little bit wrong at turn 1, and that was it. We were off, we were out, we were ripping a wheel off. Fernando Alonso's in 8th, Pascal up in 12th. Great result for Verline. We, however, eliminated in Q1. Nico Rosberg just about getting through there as well on the softer or the harder of the tyres. Carlos Sainz, Marcus Ericsson, Jolyon Palmer, myself, Kevin Magnussen, and Felipe Nasr knocked out. Possibly had about half a second more I could have found. I was on a lap like just after my best that was up, and then we clattered the wall and it ruined that one. We had to go in and make repairs, and we came out all or nothing lap. Too much in turn 1 into the wall, and off comes the wheel. But I don't think we would have had enough to get through. Pace in qualifying in practice probably not very good, and as you can see, there's a gap of what, over a second between Sainz and Rosberg. Although that gap 1:43.13 to Rosberg, very much in the wrong place there. Probably shouldn't have been 16th. I mean, we were still, if we gained half a second, we might have snuck in at the expense of Felipe Massa. I think Nico's got a penalty. Let's have a look, actually. Has Nico got a penalty? No, he DNF'd, that's why. He also crashed, so he might not be going much further, hence why he's been classified 16th there, I guess. But certainly not his time. That's going to be fun to work out at the end of it. But that was qualifying. Didn't meet our targets there. Fernando's going to take a little bit of a lead into the race. Hopefully, though, we can get him back during that race. Fingers crossed, eh?
Who would have imagined in those pioneering days of motor racing just how far and wide the love of speed and competition would spread? From Brands Hatch to Jerez to Valencia, the European Grand Prix has made its home all across the continent. And now a new era of this storied race brings us here, to the edge of the Caspian Sea. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku city circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. Anthony Davidson joins me today as we look ahead to something just a little bit different. It's quite high speed for a street circuit here, isn't it? Do you think that's going to throw up any unexpected situations?
Well, as long as the teams can keep everything cool, I don't foresee any particular big issues from a technical side of things. I do expect the track to be quite slippery though. We've not exactly had much chance to rubber in the surface. Any street circuit also comes with its own challenges, so I think we'll be seeing a few mistakes here and there. The smart strategy would be to expect a safety car, I think, especially early on when the pack is bunched up.
This is a really good starting position for us. Let's try not to lose it.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And Kimi Räikkönen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Hülkenberg, Sebastian Vettel, and Ricciardo, Bottas, Massa, Alonso, and Romain Grosjean, Button, Gutierrez, Pascal Wehrlein, And Kvyat, Hamilton, Rosberg, Carlos Sainz, and Marcus Ericsson, Palmer and Amana, Kevin Magnussen, and Felipe Nasser starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Thank you very much, Anton Crofty. And that grid, and all Force India's row 2, Mercedes down to 12th, or was it 15th and 16th? They're really low on the grid. Pascal up there as well. This race, I think, is already shaping up to be chaos, and we haven't even got off the line yet. Listen, it's not a long run to turn 1, and it's then high speed and 90-degree corners. It's going to be a lot going on in the opening lap or two here, I think, and we are quite a way down the order. We have seen this season, though, doesn't matter where we start, seemingly we always manage to make places at the start of the race. It's then about holding on to them, trying to play the strategy right, trying to just hold out against faster cars, and lots of high power long straights here could be quite difficult. Points, I think, might be a pipe dream. Although I've said that many a time this season, and we've always, like I said earlier on, like I said right at the top, we've always found ourselves running in and around the points every race this season so far, regardless of where we've qualified. This might be more tricky, so I'm going to aim for 14th place, just outside the points, but far enough away from the back. If there is chaos, if there are safety cars, which we probably will see, and we have seen plenty this season already, then we might be able to play ourselves into a good position to really fight for something. But yeah, this with Force India so high and Mercedes so low and everybody else mixed up in the middle, this could really be a bit of a chaotic one. But for the first time in Baku, let's get the 5 red lights on and out again for the 2016 European Grand Prix. Come the lights then, 4, it's 5. Long hold, but away we go. Palmer, not a great start for them. Sainz got a decent start. They're 3 or 4 wide up ahead. We stay to the inside, bounce over the curb a little bit. There's a yellow flag out. Looks like shenanigans a little further back. We avoid overtaking Pascal under the yellows, and we do eventually get him, and we get Gutierrez. 12th at the end of turn 2. Good solid start. Grosjean alongside Bottas immediately ahead of us. The legs on the McLaren and the Haas potentially in terms of horsepower. Pass button. Just outside the points now. All gets a little bit crowded up ahead. Avoiding action to avoid the back of Romain Grosjean. We will get past him, and we'll get past Massa as well. I think Nico Hülkenberg's had a bit of a shocker. He's the one that was holding everybody up. This appears to be the cork in the bottle, but we're up to 8th. Great first lap, half a lap. Can it get even better before the lap is over, I wonder? Have a look at Vettel. Kind of spooking a little bit. Still there. On the inside for the next one, compromises his line, compromised us a little bit. Get past him. Good cross the line, P7. As Bottas looks at Vettel. Raikkonen, the man leading. There it is, P7 at the end of lap 1. The back of Massa, Ricciardo and Hülkenberg, mostly going to Nico Hülkenberg, and look at the slipstream we've got as Massa moves past Hulk. Whoa, we have to really get out of the way then to avoid the back of Ricciardo. But enough of an overspeed that we've managed to get past Hülkenberg as well. The back of Massa there, got a little bit too deep into the corner. Up alongside the Williams though. We will go through into P4. Need repairing at the pit stops, you feel? Potentially. Might be able to get away with ain't repairing it, but we are fourth now. Raikkonen's leading Verstappen's third. My guess is that Sergio Perez is in second in the Force India. Keep an eye on Massa and Hulkenberg behind.
Teammate, 11.9 seconds.
Bottas, Hulkenberg, Massa, Ricciardo. The four of them have caught up to us. We've had a scruffy lap or so. We've actually knocked our front wing a little bit more. Definitely going to need repairing, but they're busy scrapping each other, which might help me out a little bit.
Considering switching to an alternate strategy, do you want to change or stick to plan A? Copy that.
Stick to our one stop in the hopes that it will carry us through to the end as we bounce off the wall at the castle section. Much more damage, fortunately enough. Still on pit stop though, so just need to hold out now, I think. There's Hulkenberg, he's the first one. Breezes past with DRS, but we will make braking into turn one, retake the position.
Perez has made a pass for first place.
Perez is in the lead, we're up to third. I think Kimi Raikkonen's in.
Right, coming in at the end of this lap.
In this lap, gotta be careful on pit entry because you can absolutely go careening into the wall and end your race. Stay stoutly to the left. Hamilton's in there, Vettel's in there, Hulkenberg, Rosberg I think was in there as well. Brake and get in, Hulk's in, one of the Williams is in as well. Ricciardo may have also come in, Raikkonen will go back past us. There's the Williams, there's the Force India, there's the Red Bull. They are going to lose time obviously having a front wing change, so they'll probably all jump us. Grosjean jumps us as well, only briefly, but we're down to 18th. Ricciardo has already been in, jumps us. Alonso goes through. These guys though, yet to pit. Going to the end on this set of tyres. In the pits, can we jump any of them? We don't get DRS off Alonso, I thought we were going to. In.
Some information on Verstappen.
And there's a yellow flag.
It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Verstappen's slowing. We've gained a couple of spots back. Ericsson and
Caution, yellow flags ahead. No overtaking through the caution zone. Be
yellow
careful
flag
until you see the
possibly
greens.
linked to Verstappen's Red Bull going slowly. It's going to cause chaos. Safety car on the board, but no safety car out.
Okay,
As Verstappen and Alonso collide.
They're going to be slow.
Rosberg has an issue now as well. Ricciardo stuck behind Wehrlein. Don't know what's happened to Pascal now. The safety car is out.
We need to form up at a reduced pace. Keep a close eye on that delta time. Make sure to keep it positive.
No idea what's just kicked off. Alonso and Verstappen were off. Rosberg was slowing down as well. Wehrlein has found himself in between the little group of cars we pitted with.
Slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you
Hamilton leads this race.
Reduce your pace.
Way off the clutch of cars who were up at the front. Again, quite probably because of Max's slow Red Bull. Will we gain some places back? Yes, we will. heavy on the brakes to avoid the back of Ricciardo. Really clip the wall at the outside of turn 1. Still cars up ahead that haven't pit yet. This has got all a little bit mixed up now. But at least we'll be in the queue with everybody. Who's yet to pit? If we all form up, they're going to lose a lot of time. Button's in. Somebody else was in as well, actually. We've moved up to 11th. This car won't have stopped yet because it started on the tyre. Gutierrez behind hasn't stopped. Ricciardo has. He came in with us. Up ahead, Verline, Magnussen and Hamilton. The only 3 drivers to have yet stopped. Everybody else has stopped. At least be right with them and all on the same sort of tyres.
Safety car in this lap. Safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember there is no overtaking until the first safety car line. Stay in position until the green flags.
Safety car coming in this lap. Backing off just so we can make a challenge down the straight as soon as we get to that green flag line, the safety car line. Outside of Ricciardo here. Bit of warning, we gave him a little nudge. It was really only a little nudge. Gutierrez is trying to follow me. Green flag flies. We don't make any gains immediately, but we get in the slipstream of Ricciardo. He's going to brake earlier, so he avoids the back of their line. Oh, but Ricciardo's got us into the wall. The flag is out again. We have damage. Let's see how badly that affects us, but we are in P10. Definitely in front. At least it didn't tear off a wheel. Amazing, the car doesn't feel all that bad. Brake smoke up ahead. We avoid the back of their line. Quite the gap back to Jolyon Palmer. And there's another big gap back to a queue of cars. Palmer's got somebody with him.
4.3 seconds.
Airline. Oh, we're into the back of airline. We're going to have to pit now.
Pitting this lap then. Come into the pits at the end of this lap.
The second race in a row. We have contact with Pascal. We have to pit. Flicking through the views. It was Button that was with Palmer. We're going to have to pit for a new front wing. And that's probably cost us a good shot of points. Ericsson, I think, in. Probably with Ricciardo, so we won't be last. But we have lost an awful lot of time. We're going to need to pit again. No, we're not. It's Verstappen at the back. He's going Ricciardo managed to avoid damage. He's damaged substantial enough that didn't put him out of the race.
Conditions to remain
Still
dry.
going.
We will update you if the outlook changes.
Really struggling. Why Pascal backed off so much through those sweepers. Some more strong words in the manner debrief. Everything's not long coming to pits. There's a yellow flag up ahead. Carlos Sainz is in. What's happened to the Toro Rosso there? He's parked out of the corner here, so I think he's probably had an engine failure. Actually allowed me to kind of catch up. He's had an engine failure and been crawling down there. He's backed everybody else up. No, we've had a mare there. We've clipped the wall with the rear wheel. No damage, but that's cost us huge amounts of time. I think that's probably our charge back forward done, unless we get another safety car. That's what you're hoping we do, but that's really all the hope we've got of closing in on anyone, I think. Adisswanto though is in the pits. He's not super soft, so he did have to pit in again. That's just leaving the pits now.
Okay, gap ahead is 5.7 seconds. The gap behind us is 4.4 seconds.
More cars in the pits here. Okay, Naza being one of them. Kvyat being the other, so we will move back past them. Gaining a couple of spots, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. Sergio Perez, the man leading this race, I think, at the moment.
Pascal is directly ahead of you.
Verstappen and Rosberg have caught up to us as I once again spin into the wall.
Your rear tyres. You might want to move the brake balance forward.
And get collected there by Rosberg, which probably damaged him. Kvyat made it past as well. Just trying to shave as much time as I can off at that corner. It's not really working. This race has kind of fallen apart, unfortunately. I felt like it was going to be a good one. Rosberg is in the pits, did have damage. Brilliant at the exit of turn 1. Not sure whose.
You can see that the car ahead is running some damage to their front wing, but it doesn't seem to be affecting their performance.
Kvyat's in the end. And damage.
Light rain is scheduled to be with us in 15 minutes' time. The gap to car in front is 1.4 seconds.
Light rain in 15 minutes, but we're only a couple of laps away from the end of this one, so it's definitely not going to affect this race. Getting a rich mix to end it, but we can just about see Kvyat, but I cannot seem to get close to him. 16th is about as good as it's going to get. Oh, DRS over Toro Rosso.
Some minor front wing damage.
Get close enough, we're at absolute maximum. It's going to be a late dive. Spooks Kvyat out the way. Let's not do to Kvyat what we did to Ricciardo. To the inside, get it around the corner, backed off the wall a little bit. Well, given the opportunity to come back, we've damaged the front wing again.
Until we get it repaired, we don't want to risk making this worse.
Yes, there is enough to pull away from the Toro Rosso. So up to 15th. We've clipped the wall really badly there as we head towards our final lap. End up drifting it through there. We've got more damage than we had. Kvyat's going to be pushing to the inside. It's through for now, but we will outbrake him. Down into turn 1, sweep around him.
This is your final lap of the race.
We'll have one lap to defend from Kvyat, I think. What has been, as I expected, a chaotic European Grand Prix at Baku. Moved right up to the pointy end, early doors. Then there was the safety car period. We lost a little bit of front wing, hitting the back of Ricciardo, trying to avoid it during said safety car period. Had that damage at the pit stop. For the one stop. Sergio Perez takes the win in the Force India. What a result for him, as we're kind of struggling our way through the Canton section. We were making our way back through the field slowly as cars were pitting in. And then for some reason, Pascal decided to back it off through the sweepers, leading onto this long straight. For the second race in a row, we had contact with our teammate. More damage to the front wing. Had to go and get another one. We've got damage now. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Kvyat's going to have DRS. I don't think we're going to stay in front of him either. We are not. We slipped to 16th at the line.
Great drive. We're really happy with that performance.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. It's a good result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Let's give it to Kevin Magnussen. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
On to the constructors then. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye and see you again next time.
So not only does Perez take the race victory, it is a double podium for Force India as Nico Hülkenberg finishes second. Kimi Räikkönen ends up third, with Sebastian Vettel fourth and his Bottas. Hamilton recovers to sixth. Massa, Button, Palmer gets his first points of the season, and Kevin Magnussen finishes 10th. There's Alonso, Verstappen, Wehrlein in 13th, and Grosjean, Kvyat with 16th, ahead of Nasser and Rosberg. Ericsson finishes last of the cars on the road. Sainz, Ricciardo and Gutierrez don't manage to finish. And in the drivers, that means Lewis is now 19 clear of Max Verstappen. Raikkonen moves up to third and he's just 2 points further back. Rosberg slips to fourth ahead of Vettel. Then it's Button, Bottas, Perez, Ricciardo, Massa and Hülkenberg. We slip to 12th behind Nico. Fernando is 13th. Then it's Sainz, Kvyat, Magnussen, Pascal, and then Jolyon Palmer adds to the point scorers, which means that Nasser, Grosjean, Gutierrez and Ericsson are the only ones yet to score. In the constructors, Mercedes lead now Ferrari by 32. The Scuderia move up into second. Red Bull slip to third. Williams are in fourth, whereas Force India move ahead of McLaren into fifth. We remain seventh, and we are some distance off McLaren. Toro Rosso remain behind us. Renault get another couple of points. Sauber and Haas remain on 0. And I did say there was going to be chaos. Didn't quite work out in our favour, though, in the end. Couple of the instants my own, that's for sure. And then, well, Pascal backing off was a little bit of a surprise. Again, second race in a row, stern words in the debrief at Manor. And then, the safety car, I know that they're slow behind the safety car, but they always seem to catch me out. I think we could have had pace there to pick up points. I think we were on 4 points after the safety car in the first pit stop, but it all kind of unravelled from there. So it's another fairly poor weekend for us. Another one where points go begging. It's not like we're slow. I don't think, quite frankly, we've got as many points as I feel we deserve so far this season. But got to roll with these punches sometimes, because races like this can happen. Bit of a slog for me, but hopefully you enjoyed that one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I'll see you for the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.